Hello and welcome, DevFest London 2025, and here we are with Ilias. How are you?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm very well. Hopefully you are having fun in our conference. We are so glad to have you here as a speaker.
Thank you for the invitation.
No problem at all. So I really wanted to start from an interesting point of view with you, right? Because I read your bio, and which is super interesting. But there is a specific part that really caught my attention. So you flew military helicopters, right? So that was your background, and then from
Don't believe everything.
don't believe everything.
Gemini. No, that's true. I was flying helicopter.
Gemini, like how was the change from that kind of very specific and high stake job to what you do now? Gemini, cloud, and all this good stuff.
So, flying was something that I loved from a kid. I managed to do it, and then it came a special time in my life. I decided to stop it. If you want to learn more, please come to my talk. And then I became a Google Cloud architect at the end of my career, let's call it end. And that was a big leap, but in both roles there is one mission: to manage the complexity and mitigate the risk under high pressure. Because you've seen, if something crashes, everybody starts yellowing. If a helicopter crashes, people are crying. So
Yeah, of course. That was pretty much the most important of your old skills, the military skills that you were able to, let's say, transfer.
yes, so from the skills I transferred or moved from my career in the army is like the mission planning and execution, which are crucial. Effective communication with the crew and also with the team. And then, of course, I'm still a pilot, so I create my checklist and I process everything with discipline.
Yeah, that's very, very interesting. But another interesting thing about you, you are also a kendo practitioner. So we are really moving, like we're jumping around many different things. And that's, I think, it's super interesting. So how this discipline that you get from this kendo practitioner can be applied to the chaotic and fast-moving world of AI, for example.
Yeah, so Kendo, or in English, the way of the sword, is fascinating, and because the fundamental about continuous self-improvement and respect. So it feels a world away from the fast-moving chaos of AI, but it's parallel and surprisingly strong how it connects. Kendo teaches you Zansin, which is continuing mind or sustained awareness. So AI and Zansin is vital. You need to be there after you deploy your model, not deploy something and leave it. You can't just walk away. So you need to sustain the awareness of your model, of your ethical implementation or continuous improvement of your model.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you're really bringing all your experience in different fields and try to, which is super interesting and
It's my life.
and probably the right way of doing things. So as a AI consultant, because this is what you're doing nowadays, pretty much you're trying to bridge the gap between the business goals, but also the actual, reality of how things work. So what is perhaps the biggest mistakes or the most common mistake that you see companies making when they want to try to adopt this AI?
Okay, so as an AI consultant, usually I'm the translator, and the business side has big aspirations, but the tech side has technical constraints. The biggest mistake I see from the companies is that they are focusing entirely on the model accuracy instead of the business outcome. So instead of going to, let's say, 100 precision, maybe they need to find another way. What I'm trying to tell each company that comes to me is start with a minimum viable AI that delivers real business in 90 days and then iterate it, instead of going to get the best thing running and then find out that it's not running for your problem.
So instead of MVP, MBA, minimum viable
Yes,
AI.
we just need to, we need to be flexible and understand MVP, okay, it's a product, but it's about
course.
AI, so let's call it MVAI, but
MVAI.
MVP it's.
MVP is fine. Nice one. So changing topic for a little while. Of course, we are at DevFest. As you know, you're very familiar with DevFest, so we are really surrounded by communities, and that's what it's all about. I know that you are very involved, of course. You're just not just AI consultant, but you're super involved in the community at 360. So I'm really curious to ask you whether if you can maybe share a story of one of your, I don't know, past experience that really capture why you are really investing a lot of your time, right?
That's true.
A lot of your time, like being one of the leader of the one of the GDGs group.
So at one of our first DevFest, I was mentoring at a hackathon, and it was a group of people. One guy was older than me, and he was also an ex-army person who started his career on programming. And there was a bug in the team. They were trying to move their application on the cloud. So I sat next to him, and I was telling him how to move around and write the code so that he can fix the bug and move to the cloud his application. Finally, after 20 minutes, he managed to do it, and he was so happy. He stood up, started yelling, clapping for himself. So this thing is pure. This thing is what really makes me be involved with the communities and be there whenever somebody is coming to ask for my help. So communities where potential is unlocked, not just by coding, but with the networking.
100%, and by leaving some of these things, those are really rewarding. That's everything is worth it, right? When you see
and
this.
To tell you the truth, the smile on that face or the other people's face and the thank you, that's all it matters.
That's it, 100%. But you also teach computer vision, right?
Oh yes, I've done that.
I've done that. One of the many things that you've done. What is, if you can tell us, what is the maybe the AI concept that you really find people, struggling with, that you maybe can, how can you explain then? How can you try to make this concept a little bit easier for them to, understand?
So the main problem usually is they want to do something without understanding that AI is a tool. And first, if you want to do something with AI, computer vision or NLP or whatever, you need to define the problem and then how you can solve it with AI. And then you need, of course, to have your metrics to evaluate it. So people say, okay, I have this problem, let's do something with AI. Nowadays it's agent. Before that it was just something else. So first people need to have the business problem, define the problem they want to lose, then the AI task, and then the business metric. This is the sequence. Usually they don't do that. And when they give a metric, it's a bad metric. Maybe they say, we want our model to have 95% of accuracy. Accuracy in what? It doesn't say anything.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. We need to put the right context, right?
Exactly.
So you, as we talk about, like, your background is incredible diverse. We talk about AI, but military and kendo and community. So what is there like a common thread? Is like a common thread among all these things, like that really bring all these passions, together for you?
So although in the beginning it sounds like on the surface they have nothing to do with each other and they are so different, but when you go to the personal why that ties them all together is the deep-seated drive for mastery in dynamic environments and the commitment to the impact all of these have. So Kendo, AI, Google Cloud are tools to become better as person, to become better as programmer, to also do amazing thing and bring impact to the community. So continuously learning, serving or creating impact and improving is everything under the Kendo, under the AI, the Google Cloud, the architecture.
Okay, that makes sense. So that's really what brings pretty much everything together. As a GDE, because you are also a Google developer expert, GDE and mentor, what would be maybe a small piece of advice that you would give to some maybe more junior, some aspiring, cloud professional that really maybe wants to go into this field nowadays?
It depends on the group of the people. So for juniors, I usually advise them to go and find meetups in their area, start networking with people, become not only a passive people of the community but active, help as a volunteers, and talk, ask questions all the time. Then intermediate and advanced, they know their way, so it's easier for them. But always, another thing that I advise is don't memorize the documentation, but the patterns. Okay, I found people asking me so many details, and I said, I don't know. There are so many technologies on Google Cloud. It's not just 5 things. But if you memorize the patterns, then you will find the solution.
Perfect. That makes a lot of sense. Just don't over focus on the details. Just try to get the big picture. All right. Last question from me. So you are clearly a lifelong learner. You've learned from many different fields, as we heard. Which is something that you might have learned now, maybe very, let's say, recently in tech, just can be for fun, or maybe something that really, excited you, very, recently?
Okay, so apart the fact that everything is changing so rapidly these days, and if you skip 1 week, you are out of context on AI, so I have to keep up AI. But the other thing that excites me is quantum computing. It's amazing, it's coming our way, and I don't know, it's this kind of magical physics, maths, and it's an art over there. And if we manage to create PCs that we can work with quantum computing, that will be amazing.
That would be the next generation, literally, right?
We are here, why next?
We are here, why next? Our current generation.
Yeah, our generation.
All right, Ilias, thank you so very much for being here. That's been very, very, not just informative, but inspiring.
Thank you so much.
Cheers, and
Cheers.
Enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you, I will.
Cheers.
Bye.